I want to go over SmackDown real quick. It's gonna be uploaded super late. It's gonna be up in the end of near the end of the week, and I'm already tired as it is. But this SmackDown wasn't that bad as much as people want. But it wasn't that much wrestling. There wasn't that much women's wrestling. That it it was going to sell you a product that they want you to watch continuously. And what SmackDown needs you to regain consistently is a storyline. Is at least something as important as your top guy being assaulted by some mysterious assailant, and it was accused to be Buddy Murphy, then Eric Rowan or Daniel Bryan. All of this and more next week. That was issued for next week. That's going to be issued off Daniel Bryan saying that he knows who did it and he has the proof. So this might be somebody personal from Roman's behalf, and they're going to hook you in the next week. I don't mind that. As much as you like seeing a lot of wrestling, as Biffy sometimes that can be as much of a spot head as you guys are. But when it comes to implementing a storyline and having Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan actually act like intimidating characters, assaulting Buddy Murphy after he had a pretty great match. He had a great match with Roman Reigns. Bicycle knees off the counters, a huge super kick off a counter. Roman Reigns came off with that spear. Like, it was Buddy Murphy's time. As much as Roman Reigns got some good moves on him, I thought Buddy Murphy really showed his part on how he can be excited, even though he was a cruiserweight, but he has kind of the build and height of a heavyweight. And you see how he implement that into his fighting style. And obviously, in the fans' perspective, I'm shocked the commentators didn't bring that up. It was like, oh my god, work rate, did a good a bicycle knee straight from Buddy Murphy, and he was the former cruiserweight champion and dominated the cruiserweight. No one cares. Call the wrestling match, or call out how this partakes into Roman Reigns finding out who the person is trying to take him down over the past few weeks. To like make a storyline. These commentators suck, even if there's no Michael Cole or Renee Young. It's still mediocrity. Corey Graves doesn't make it better other than he can work with Byron Saxton more. That's literally it. So they can build up this chemistry with Byron Saxton and Corey Graves' terrible history now talking with black people. And that was Bottles. Other than that, that was wasn't that bad of a segment involving Daniel Bryan saying that Roman Reigns is a liar. Then going backstage again, trying to force Buddy Murphy to confess, then bully and beat the shit out of him in the middle of the locker room, like legit trying to make like a heel dynamic with Bryan and Rowan. And it's like that's building up for next week. We don't know who's gonna do it. It might be Bryan, it might be Rowan. Oh, we don't know who legit did it. Buddy Murphy's out the picture. Thinks he wrestled like that and came up really short, but nearly beat Roman Reigns. Who would need to hit Roman Reigns with a fucking car and hit him with metal beams? That's building up a storyline dynamic, something Monday Night Raw completely hits down the mark. They don't know how to make storylines, even though they have 3 hours and they are in a prime time slot, and you have enough writers. You have the top guys that are pretty that want to actually build a storyline with. If you keep seeing it, Paul Heyman's in your writing group, and yet they still make Brock Lesnar the Universal Champion. So that was a interesting segment. These were interesting segments. This was building up for next week on Raw. SmackDown. But other than that, we still had fucking Shane McMahon shutting up Kevin Owens after the loss he suffered from SummerSlam, and finding him $100,000 over assaulting Elias, that was the secondary referee for their match at SummerSlam. And then breaking his TV like a little fat prissy bitch. This came from a hometown hero representing the new talent into crying like a little bitch because he's owed $100,000, even though he's been working there for a smidge 5 years, and he's still complaining. Like a little switchy bitch, like, we know Shane McMahon builds up most of the runtime. They want him to be this major heel. But it's still building up Kevin Owens as this whiny, prissy bitch. And all McMahon's power is Elias losing every week and all because he has the power. He abolished the 24-second rule, the 24/7 rule, all because Elias is in his group, in his posse. Even though I thought he also had Drew McIntyre, but I don't want to see another Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens match. They even reference Kevin Owens appearing in the King of the Ring tournament, and they don't even implement what's going to happen when you win. You're just going to get bragging rights, or it's going to be a legit championship opportunity come Survivor Series or the next pay-per-view. Thinks it's going to be next week in Clash of Champions is just right around the corner in a few weeks, come September. So I don't know what you're going to do with the King of the Ring. Next, there was also Samoa Joe backstage asking who's going to teach Kevin Owens a lesson. And it was Samoa Joe, and he won! Following a fast count because they had Elias as referee, but it was so underwhelming of a match thanks to Samoa Joe feuding Roman Reigns over the past coming weeks. They do nothing with it. They don't even have a pay-per-view match accusing him of running over a man and killing him with stage equipment. And then what the fuck, they don't have a match at SummerSlam against supposedly the two top guys, and they do nothing with them. Both Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns, supposedly your top wrestlers, are not even appearing in your show, and then you have Kevin Owens losing to him after beating Shane via fast count. The match wasn't even much. No one cares. Samoa Joe, ever since he's been here, has mainly been trying to use mildly offensive stuff and personal tactics, and only having a short United States Championship in the way of that. Because if I see Kevin Owens do another stunner again, I'm going to get angry. Wow, this show was... It had some good segments, but it also was like, why do we have to end it off fast count? They also try to do this promo involving Kofi Kingston and the New Day with their match ending by double count out. And Kofi Kingston just bringing up yet again over his over 10-year longevity, like that counts for anything, while Randy Orton has nearly a double-digit career, like a double-decade career here, and he accomplished way more. Next was Charlotte Flair facing off against Ember Moon, and it ends off a finger four. There's a decent forearm to the face. It was a fast-paced 10-minute match that I think Charlotte and Ember Moon needed. It was a decent match. It was an average match. Next was a Revival having a promo over the New Day insulting the tag team division, flinging pancakes and acting like fimbling faggots. But other than that, it was an average promo, but weren't they Raw guys? It's the wild card, John. It's the wild card. Shut the hell up. For the last few months, the wild card never worked out. It never exceeded a feud. It never exceeded a storyline. It never got anybody over, unless you want to count the Alexa Bliss storyline with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. That went to an underwhelming triple threat main event match, but it happened. It's part of history. It's always not a first time. It's always a first time that matters, other than a good show that matters. That's why 100 singles matches are never going to amount to an exciting card. That is mediocre. That is mediocrity. So instead of a tag team main event, it was It was on the spot. Literally, Randy Orton just implementing a 6-man tag, all because he still has beef with Randy Orton. So that was much the supposed first co 24/7 champions, and I would like that dynamic to be more explored other than R-Truth just running around like a little freaking little Jimmy. And I'm about to really get angry because I'm really gibbering off here. The main event was Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston facing off against Randy Orton and the Revival facing off against the New Day, all three of them. and it was a decent match. Good transitions off the board. Randy Orton came RKOing everybody in the main event. It was alright. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Randy Orton getting a comeuppance with a surprise and win off an injury. With hitting the, I think they call it the Death Machine. I forgot what the Revival called their finisher, and I like their finisher. But other than that, they hit their finisher on Xavier Woods and got the win while Randy Orton RKO'd Kofi Kingston, then Xavier Woods, and then Big E off of assistance by the Revival, and then RKO'd Kofi Kingston again. I wish I'd be missing much, but they only had like 3-4 matches. There's only like one 6-man tag and 3 singles matches. And other than Kevin Owens' mediocre babyface promo, the commentary barely being competent, a pretty good match with Buddy Murphy and fucking Roman Reigns. That I wish they actually implemented like a Hitman storyline, like who's really the culprit. That could have got the entire roster involved so we can give everybody screen time other than the tournament coming back so late into the year. I thought this was an average SmackDown. This was a pretty good. This was a watchable SmackDown, thanks to Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. Roman Reigns kept it entertaining. The negatives were Kofi Kingston, lack of champions in the show. Where's Shinsuke Nakamura and Ali? Didn't Ali pin Nakamura the go home show before SummerSlam? They didn't even have an Intercontinental title match if you wanted to make them still relevant. The Intercontinental title has been irrelevant for the last several months now. Since the Bobby Lashley and Finn Balor feud ended, they did nothing with the belt. Finn Balor didn't even defend it since WrestleMania 35. And since then, he was feuding with Andrade, had a forgetful on and off feud with Andrade, and then somehow just lost the title in kickoff against Shinsuke Nakamura in Extreme Rules, and he'd been holding it until now after he got pinned by Ali. And they do nothing. I think they had one promo involving Shinsuke Nakamura facing off against another competitor. And that was it. Ali does his crappy little promo. And all I'm thinking of, why sign Jinder Mahal to a multi-year deal if all he did was pin a black guy once? I don't know what potential they have for Ali other than the potential that they literally have on the roster. I find the Revival great wrestlers, but other than lack of personality or an actual like rememberable thing about them, they're completely pointless. They have nothing for Drew McIntyre. They have nothing for Roman Reigns. What they might do has potential, but only if they actually do something interesting. Like, it gotta be something if you want people to continue watching WWE in general other than just SmackDown. And for God's sakes, do something with your tag division. Or do something with your WWE champion that was in the main event in an impromptu 6-man tag. If it wasn't even booked. It was supposed to be the Revival versus the New Day. And the Revival were just coming as just wild cards. They were Raw superstars. They weren't even tag team champions. They lost them before SummerSlam, so the point of this show was completely worthless. Other than the interesting concept going on with Roman Reigns and who the actual Hitman is. So that will at least stick with you to watch. Anything else? Kofi Kingston better lose come Clash of the Champions, because I want somebody different. So, I don't care if it's even Randy Orton. I don't care if he's going to be like 15-time world champion or something. Just do something. Please, God, do something. Because some parts of the show was at least watchable. But other than that, I'm just setting off my little negatives with what's going on overall in the show. This is not just SmackDown. SmackDown was fine. SmackDown was fine. It gets a 6 out of 10. I love the promos. I don't mind this little feud with Kevin Owens and Shane, except I feel like the role should be reversed. I don't mind the little who's the culprit in attacking Roman Reigns storyline. I don't mind Randy Orton feuding Kofi because it's at least a legit star that we all know. But Kofi Kingston has no other way to work around it thinks he's not with legit one-on-one competition. Even if he is like for a championship match, back then when he was holding the Intercontinental and United States title for multiple times, he was never in a memorable storyline with anybody for his singles runs with those belts. Other than if you remember that Extreme Rules match he had with Sheamus and that Intercontinental title feud that he had with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. Other than that, hopefully he does something, some other excuses other than 10 years ago he called me stupid. And people have always been overlooking you, so I don't want to hear anything else involving this bullcrap feud other than please lose the belt. Please, I'm begging you. Uh, Thank you for watching, everybody. Hopefully you like, comment, and subscribe, and you like my take on the my opinion on the show. If you share the same or share different ones, please comment, share, and like the video. Thanks for watching.